Getting set up, getting ready.
There you go. It's a car. We ride the same way the cars go. Two abreast is safer. They tend not to want to try to pass you or push you over. Okay? We're going to do a little history. We're going to do some culture. We're going to do some places to go and see. And we're going to have fun. We're going to learn a little bit. Okay? Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, and I wouldn't be worried about the thunder. Okay, Caleb?
All right, we're on the tour here with Steve. Taking our first stop here with Steve.
Do you know which country from Europe was here first? They came up through the Caribbean to Florida. They're in St. Augustine now.
Spanish. Oh, Spain.
Spain, yes. How'd you know that?
History.
The Spaniards, right. They're the enemy because we're an English colony. So King George wanted to have a buffer colony. See the difference?
Original doors.
Okay. Thanks. And we're going to walk them in. These are the wards I told you about, right there. These are the wards. There's 4 squares in 1734, 1 year after they got there. There's the 4 squares. This is facing south. I have to chisel it out one night and turn it the right way, because south is that way. There's the forest. St. Augustine would be down here. Here's the fencing around the colony. Here's the river, Savannah River. There's the second indigenous tree to Savannah. It's lining the streets of City Hall. They're called palmetto palms. What did you say?
You said melted.
Melted is the right word.
Okay.
That is the right word. You got it, Caleb. It literally melted, the white and the brick.
Continuing on, Steve's doing it.
Drink along here. You can go to Wet Willie's and have a moonshine slurpee and have 20 other drinks that are just all alcohol. The restaurants, if you take your dog in, they'll ask.
We're on Broughton Street right now. Continue down Broughton Street.
That was rough. Who knows the movie where that is in the opening scene, that church, and a feather comes floating down from that church? Feather.
Forrest Gump?
And it lands, yes, on you see the Chippewa Square sign? It lands on a bench right where the Chippewa Square sign is. Okay, so what do you want to ask me?
Where's the bench?
Where's the bench? Right, where's the bench? There were 4 benches. The first.
Steve said they can't redo this advertisement. It's got to stay there just like that.
Right, that's right. So, why is he here? Historians say there's 3 people consequential to the South: George Washington, Abe Lincoln, and General James Oglethorpe. He did 4 things for us. 1, Caleb, he brought us the city of how many squares?
22.
22. Where else are they in the world? Nowhere. Nowhere. Good work. And he was a humanitarian. He brought over the underprivileged, gave them a chance to farm their own land, grow their own cotton.
Savannah's got how many squares, Zachary?
22.
22 squares. This is just another one we're going around.
It is considered one of the finest forms of Gothic Revival architecture in the country, and it was the most expensive house in Savannah until the 20th century, but there is a story. I don't show you anything unless I have a story to tell. The story. Fast forward to the Civil War, and General William Sherman comes south to end the war, march to the sea. What does he do?
Here's the Midnight Garden and Evil house right here.
A well-to-do area of town. Notice and tell me, what is the architectural material that is prevalent in this area?
Iron?
Iron. You got it. You got it. Cast iron. Look at the cast iron above the windows, below the windows. The painted columns are cast iron. The lights are cast iron. The gates cast iron. The fence is cast iron. Look at everywhere's cast iron was back in 1850. It was, I have made it, I'm successful, I'm wealthy. So now...
Zach, you know where we're heading to? Forsyth Park. I think that's it right ahead. And that's the most famous, I guess, place to take a picture in the city. Right by the fountain.
That fountain was a mail order from a New York ironworks company. It was number 5 in the catalog. It was fashioned after the fountain in Paris at the Place de la Concorde. They sold 4 of them. There's one in here. There's one in Poughkeepsie, New York. There's one in Madison, Indiana.
Continuing to ride in Forsyth Park. We're on Bowl Street, right in the center of the city. Cuts the city between 2 halves, east and west.
Hearsay is...
We're still on Jones Street. It's called Keeping Up with the Joneses. It's the whole street and the houses.
Church, but it is the largest church.
Mom, look at
This is St. John's Basilica. It is a Catholic church. Now, let me put perspective for you. You remember we had no slaves from 1733 to 1751? Remember that? No slaves? That was consequential. I mentioned that and I said I'd tell you why later. It kept out, you know, all of the colonists were doing agriculture, farming, growing cotton. But we did need labor for the port to build the city. So because there were no slaves here for those 19 years, the Irish Catholic came over. It was cheap labor. And they couldn't get into the other colonies because they already had slaves. They were full up, so to speak. But here, there was a place to get work. So they... This is Troop Square, and that is the smallest church. That is the Unitarian Church. But I got a story. I'm not just going to show you the smallest church. So, 1850s, a tourist comes down just like you. His name is James Pierpont. He's from Boston, and he comes down here and falls in love with Savannah. But while he's here, he also falls in love with the mayor's daughter, and he marries her. And he stays here. He has a little girl with her. He gets a job in the Unitarian Church as a director of music. And he longs for Boston and the Christmas season and the holiday and the music, and you know what I'm going to say. Yes. Okay. And he writes Jingle Bells in the church.
Oh, wow.
Okay? And we call it the Jingle Bells Church here. And you will remember on this balmy
Rainbow Row. Oh, very much, Steve. Yeah. Very good. Yep. Straight ahead, that red house, smallest house in Savannah.
And it costs $438,000 on its own.
Yeah, and crazy, right, Caleb?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can stay there. It's an Airbnb. It's home stretch. And we're back. Steve got us back in one piece.
All
right, Caleb, how was it?
It was good.
Enjoy it?
You have a good time?
Had a great time, Steve.
Oh, I hope you had fun. I'll take the empties, sure. Okay.